right. Well, we are at 5 after the hour, so let's go ahead and get started. Let me handle our introductions for today. My name is Dustin Miller. I am a former bootcamp advisor like Kevin Newkirk and currently in a marketing role. We also have Kevin Newkirk, who I just mentioned, our bootcamp advisor. Kevin, well, if you haven't touched base with him, I'm sure that we'll get you connected. Looks like Greg is driving. All right, so we'll make sure to get Greg in. Hi, Greg. Greg is our Max senior instructor and is a very busy guy, and he is on his way to some type of a lunch meeting. But we'll get to hear from Greg. He's being a trooper, so thank you, Greg. Be safe on the road out there. And we also have Annette Ballard. Shows up as Max Instructor B on your screen, and she is our career services advisor. And as someone mentioned, what is that career preparation like? What's going on in hiring right now? We're going to talk about all of that today. We will also hear from one of our Max alumni because, well, who better to hear from than somebody that's actually gone through it, Linda Crook. Linda is with us today, and we'll talk to her at the end because I love to finish off with our alumni. That way we can open up into our Q&A time. And really, this session is designed to help you understand the reality of a boot camp. Some people think it's too good to be true. What, 13 weeks, a new career, thousands of more dollars? I'd have a lot of questions as well. So we're going to talk about a lot of that today. Um, and I first want to share a little bit about who Max is. And so, as you can see in these photos, this is really what the boot camp is about. It's about people, and it's about the way that they're going to change their life through this program. For us, it's more than technical training, and even our alumni can attest to that. But it's a really fun experience, and you develop relationships with people in your boot camp, and you go through this process together, and it really becomes a special thing that you've all accomplished. And really anybody can accomplish this if you really want it. And Max has been a training partner since 1998. We have a global network of training experts. Your boot camp is actually built of a compilation of subject matter experts based on their experience and their expertise. And we want to bring that to you throughout the boot camp. And we've really been career focused since our first boot camp in 2012. It was one of the first in our area. And one of the ways we've been successful is through our custom curriculum. This is not something that we just pulled out of a box and sat down and said, okay, guys, here we go. This is what we're going to do. The gentleman currently whipping the steering wheel right now has a large role and developed a lot of that curriculum himself, because yes, we do have to get you through in 13 weeks. It is going to be challenging. There's a lot of information. We also want to talk about what some of the creative financial solutions that we can offer you are, because we don't want finances to be a barricade or a blockade between you and where you want your future to go. And one of the benefits you're going to get out of our boot camp is our hiring partner network. You asked us, we talk about the companies that we work with, your Fifth Thirds, your Great American Insurance, and really, when you think about it today, almost every company is in some way an IT company. Procter and Gamble sells toilet paper and soap, but they actually staff more IT people than any. Their IT is larger than any other department that they have. So they're somewhat an IT company, and we're very dedicated to the IT community. This is not kind of a fast food drive-through of IT training. We're dedicated to being a part of the fibers of the actual IT community in Cincinnati, and that's something we try to pass on to all of our students. So what's actually going on with the jobs that we're talking about? We have a coding software development bootcamp, we have data analytics, and we have business analyst. The terms are not exactly the same, but in the top 10 growing jobs in 2021, it was software development, a data analyst, and your statistician is kind of your BA. And if you look at the projected jobs across the United States in software development alone, they're projecting 316,000 jobs with a median salary of $107,000. That's significant. Now, coding is the first wave to go through. Data analytics and business analysts are following in behind, because really the software development on all of these applications are driving the demand. So job number 2, 6, and 8 in the top 10 all match up with our current career boot camps. Now, I don't know how many of you live within our tri-state from our location, which is in Cincinnati, Ohio, but when we did a search for the number of posted jobs in these 3 areas in the tri-state, Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio, you're talking more than 6,000 software development jobs, more than 3,000 business analysts, and more than 2,000 data analyst jobs currently posted between LinkedIn and Indeed. So the demand is there. That's a total of 13,822 jobs. And it just speaks to the need that's there. And so this is really what's happening in the hiring community around technology roles. And so with all of this opportunity, you're looking at our boot camps and saying, okay, well how do I pick which one's going to be right for me? So selecting the right boot camp, and Kevin and I spent a lot of time talking about this because we've sat down, with just a ton of people. What matters to them? What questions do they ask? What is important to selecting the right boot camp? And so this is a pretty simplified list. It comes down to your lifestyle. Do you do a full-time boot camp? Do you do a part-time boot camp? Do you want in person? Do you want to do it virtually? And that also connects to your learning style. What is your best learning style? Which delivery is going to work best for you? And all of this connects to family. We all either have job responsibilities, family responsibilities, financial responsibilities. All of these kind of go in this same area. These are all things that people have to consider when trying to figure out, can I do this? You can do this, but how do you also handle all of these, any other challenges? And that's why we developed our part-time boot camp. And so you're also going to have your personal goals and your career goals. Are you interested in data analytics? Do you have an interest in coding? Okay, if you do, where do you want to go? What kind of company do you want to work for? What type of career do you see in front of you? So your personal and career goals, those are things to really talk to your bootcamp advisor about, because those are the things that we're looking at and care about and want to help you reach those. Because again, this is about a return on your investment. And you want to understand the technology. What technology am I going to learn in this boot camp? When I go out and maybe I'm looking at the jobs that are being posted, how do they match up? And are the people teaching me invested in my outcome? Are they really invested in what's going to happen in the future? And we'll talk about the team a little bit more here in a minute. So why is our boot camp different than maybe others that are being offered? Right now, our placement rates are in fluctuation because we've had 2 groups recently graduate at the end of the year. But the number of graduates placed in the first 90 days is significant. I'm going to hold on an exact percentage because I think that that's kind of in flux right now, and we should iron that out here, I'd say, in the next 3 or 4 weeks. Another major difference, and pay close attention to this, multi-language developers. This is specifically for the coding. When you look at other coding boot camps and you look at the core curriculum, it was about, man, I think it was almost a year and a half ago that we brought in a multi-language Java and .NET boot camp. And that is a unique offering you're not going to find everywhere. And that's definitely something that sets us apart. You're also going to be able to sit for your Scrum Master certification. That has value in the open marketplace. It shows leadership in your ability to help organize technology projects and be able to play a role on a team. Many of our students, right after the boot camp, will go through some study time and then sign up to take their Scrum Master certification. More and more and more, I'm seeing our students posting on LinkedIn that they just got their Scrum Master cert. And it does have value in the open marketplace. And it also opens up different opportunities for you as far as leadership roles on teams. The direct instruction time, is really important to us. Greg doesn't just stand at the room and pass along instruction and give you some information and then leave you sit for, a couple of hours while you work things out on your own. He's also not talking to you the entire 6.5 hours that you're in class for the day, but he's always there. He's always in the room with you. And that's really important. It's important to our monitored class size. We have very limited class sizes and we only take so many students per year. And that really is a lot to do with our instructors understanding the balance of how to make sure everybody gets the right attention that they need. And in the boot camp, you're going to write every line of code. You will experience paired programming, but for the most part, you're going to write every line of code and you're also going to do it in 2 different languages. That's special. And I'm telling you right now, I absolutely know our hiring partners are salivating at the idea that Max grads are now coming out with both languages. It's made a huge difference. And that's that grad standard. That means something out in the hiring community. It means something to the people that are making the choices to hire out of boot camps is our students live up to a standard of performance. They know what they get from our students, and that's why they get hired, almost preferred many times. And we're here over your career lifetime. If you're training to be in technology, you're always going to be training to be in technology. It's something that is always changing, always growing, and you're going to have to adapt, get new certifications, continue your education. Come back to Max. We're here for you for that. Annette helps many of our alumni pursue additional opportunities after the first or second position that they've held. If they're looking to transition and they want to update their resume, usually Annette gets a phone call and they come back to us, and that's because you're alumni, you're Max family. And I mentioned the Max team because it takes a village. And I'll start at the top and work my way around. Kevin is your bootcamp advisor. He's going to help you understand your options and help you get to the application process and move you forward along to filling out your forms and committing to the bootcamp. And that's where Kim picks you up. And Kim's going to make sure you get all of your paperwork in the right order and talk to you about the financial options. Denise is the owner of Max Technical Training. And I have to say it, she's not feeling well today. And actually, this, I think, is the first one of these sessions she has missed in almost 3.5 years. It's amazing. She's made every single one of these. But she has an open door, and I love that she walks around the lunch hour, usually when you're in person and you're taking your break, and gets to know you as a person. And you'll talk to her usually multiple times throughout the boot camp. Um, and so she is also going to play a role. She even reaches out to companies on behalf of our students at times. And then you've got your instructors, Nick. We just hired another senior instructor, Josh Cottrell, Greg, who is with us today, and you'll hear from him in just a moment. Annette is with us, and we'll be talking about the career services as we get through the presentation. And then we bring in the powerhouse LinkedIn advisor and helping you with your personal brand, Kendra Ramirez. You may have never heard that name, but if you look her up on LinkedIn, she is everywhere. She is absolutely everywhere and just is the person to help you with your personal brand on LinkedIn. Kelsey Apple, I mentioned the Scrum certification. She handles our Scrum and Agile. And then we really want to be holistic about your training. So we spend time in emotional intelligence, the EQ, IQ part of it, your soft skills with Heinrich Stander, who owns Rocket Fueled Futures and has been doing this type of coaching going on now a few years. Used to actually run the developer program over at Kroger. So he's an excellent resource. And so it's not just one instructor, it's an entire group of individuals. And I think that really sets us apart. So how do you select your boot camp? We've got a couple different options for you. First of all, as I mentioned, we have coding, data analytics, and business analyst. Today, we really focus on the coding. If you have an interest in business analytics or data analyst, let's get you connected with Kevin so we can dive more into those details. Those are kind of newer programs, but really the high demand right now is the coding. And so for our full-time program, it's $15,500, as you can see. You can You have to look at the delivery for each cohort because it does change. Currently, our March, Kevin, that's both virtual and in person for March, and then the one after that is completely virtual.
The one in March is 100% virtual,
Okay, so
and then the one after that is hybrid.
okay, so then we go back to so the one in March is 100% virtual, and let's put it this way: in 13 weeks, every single day, 6.5 hours a day, plus some time in the evening, it's going to be like drinking water from a fire hose. Your laptop is provided and all of your course materials, so you're going to have everything that you need. We also have a part-time boot camp, and I've got all the dates for all of our upcoming boot camps at the end of the presentation. So if you're looking for the upcoming start dates, we'll definitely cover those. Our part-time run's completely virtual. It is a Monday, Wednesday evening, and Saturday from 8 to 4. So as it says, it's a handful of evenings and a collection of Saturdays. It will take you 6 months to complete. This was designed for individuals with family responsibilities and obligations, and also if you need to keep your job for financial reasons, which we completely understand. And so these are the types of decisions that you're going to be looking at when you start to think about the boot camp that's right for you, your learning style, your lifestyle, which is going to be the best fit. And so I'd like to make sure that we talk to Greg, and I moved a little quick through the front end. So once Greg shares with us a little bit about the curriculum in our coding bootcamp, I'll give us a quick pause to see if we have any questions at this time. But Greg, I know you got stuff going on, so let's talk about what does it mean to be a full stack developer. And if you would, give our guests a brief introduction so that they kind of know where you come from and some of your experience.
Okay, thanks, Justin. Well, I've been a software developer or a manager for a lot of years since I was back in high school, and I just enjoyed coding from day one. And I did it all my life until about 6 years ago when I turned to teaching others who wanted to learn this profession that's been really good to me. So for me, it's a little bit of giving back and so on. So we at Max are fully vested in your success in this boot camp. We do take it personally. So we want you to succeed. We want the company you go to be more than happy that you're there and so on. And one of the reasons we build our curriculum like we do is because of what our companies want out of our developers. As Dustin said earlier, we talked to them about this idea of having 2 languages out of our boot camp. And there was not a single dissent in the companies that says this is just a great thing, because most companies have both languages. They need both of those. And it can be very frustrating for them to come and talk to a developer and they say, okay, you took C#, do you know anything about Java? And in the past, in a lot of other places, they have to say, no, I don't know that. But our boot camp, we say, yes, I can do that. And so it provides our companies so much more flexibility. You'll just be much more valuable to them because you know both those languages. And those 2 languages are the primary languages that most medium to large companies use. They do it all the time. The full stack part of things means that the type of applications that are made today are those that are on the web, and that requires you to know web technology, the languages, C# and Java and so on, and how they can implement business rules for companies, and SQL databases to persist the data that companies have, which is one of the most strategic resources. There are boot camps that teach only the web development. There are some that teach only SQL. There are some that only teach the C# language or the Java language. That's all fine, that's good, but you have to know how to put them all together to make the actual application work. And our technology, the way we teach, you'll be learning to do state-of-the-art applications on the web that almost all of our companies are looking to move forward. Not all of them are there yet, but they're looking to move forward with those type of applications. That's one of the reasons I think that our grads are in such demand in the marketplace. So the full stack means you can do it all. They might have you start with just doing database or just the web, whatever. But I asked them specifically, would you rather us have specific front end, back end, things like that? And they said, no, we like the fact it's important to us that your grads know how to put it all together, even if we don't have them do it all at once.
Let's dive a little bit more into detail into the technology, and if we listed really everything in all detail, I think we ended up with something like 18 to 20 bullet points. So let's just highlight some of these that we've got right here. And Greg, as you kind of look through this list, and so everybody knows that the capstone is not technically a technology, but Greg is going to kind of dive into what the capstone means as a part of this. So Greg, kind of give us the
The thumbnail.
yeah, give me the high end here of what we're looking at.
Okay, yeah. So these are categories of technologies, more so the individual technologies. Source control is something that programmers use to save and manage the strategic assets, which are our programs that we write. The database is almost every application you will do professionally will use a SQL database. I've only done a handful in my entire career, applications that didn't have a database with it. And so we dive into database and SQL databases, and you'll, as a programmer, know what you have to do with those databases. Programming, MVC, frameworks, things like that, those are, again, all categories. They teach you how to program, what the concepts are, how to do it quickly, how to do it so it's extensible, so it can be enhanced in the future. Frameworks are predefined code pieces that help us get our applications done quicker. And then we get into things like the web and user interface, how to write web applications. These aren't static websites that never change. These are applications that allow people to run their business and keep their business flowing and so on. And all managed by project management development strategies. How can project management help us to create, as a group, applications quicker and get things done? And in the boot camp, we teach all the individual technology pieces for that, and it culminates with what we call a capstone. And that's a very, very significant, non-trivial project that every student will do. And as Dustin said earlier, you're going to write every line of code of that capstone to prove to all the companies who come to our demo day that you can do it all. As a hiring manager, I used to ask people about, tell me about the projects you worked on, and they'd start off with words like we, and I'd say stop for a moment, because I don't really care what everybody else did. I want to know what you did. And so we can tell our companies, you did it all. You can do the front end, the back end, the middle, and everything, no matter what they want to do. So it's the proof to these companies that you actually have a wealth of knowledge in these technologies and can start on day one contributing to their IT success.
And Greg, I love to leave it off with something a little personal and powerful to share with everyone else. Greg's son went through the program, and so it's kind of a family affair at Max. And what's the one thing now that your son has gone through the program, and he's been at what, Western and Southern for almost,
Yes.
what, 3-4 years now at this point? It's got to be.
Just short of 3 years, yeah.
Yeah. What is the one thing you've seen in his life that has kind of changed or developed that you know is kind of a benefit of making the career change? What's the one thing that just kind of warms your heart that you've seen come from it?
Okay, well, let me say two quick things. Number
Sure.
one is he's in a challenging environment that stimulates him. He has to keep on learning. He loves to learn new things, and he feels accomplished when he does something that his company wants him to do. And that's never going to end. That'll never end at all. The second one, and it's not the least important one, is his annual income has gone up 5 times from what it was before he was in the boot camp, 500% from where it was in less than 3 years. So So he is financially better in this world, and he's in a much more challenging job that he enjoys. Everything's good. In fact, that's who my lunch meeting is with right now.
Nice. I'm sure it's not just more money, but less hours. I'm sure it was 2 times less hours and five times more money because, as you've told me, he was, excuse me, managing a pool cleaning um, team or operation, and those hours that he said were just brutal.
Yeah, he was in the summertime, as soon as the pools open from Memorial Day to Labor Day, he was on about 12 to 16-hour days, 7 days a week, no time off, on call all the time. And he did it one summer and said, I don't want to do this anymore. So he's much happier what he's doing now.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate you sharing. Tell him we said hello, and we're all very proud of him, of course. And enjoy your lunch. If you guys have any technical questions, you can go ahead and send them on over to us, and we'll try and respond as best as possible. But Greg, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for sharing.
Sure. Thanks.
So,
See you all.
see ya.
See you, Greg. Thanks.
So there's the technical part of it. Now, okay, you're reaching the end of your boot camp. You've got your capstone, but you've got to go out and get that job. You've got to go find the opportunity that you want, and you've got to chase it down. How are we going to get you there? We leave it up to Annette because she she's been doing this for many years. And Annette, tell people a little bit about your experience, and then let's share with them what they're going to experience in their career training throughout the boot camp to get them prepared to pursue that job. Muted.
First, I didn't change my name. Now I didn't unmute. This is my first time to ever do this, right? Denise misses one. This is my first one to be here. Just kidding. I have been working with folks in career transition since 1999. So it turns out, as the Max team well knows, I really wanted to be a nurse, but I did 2 years of Latin and was candy striper, volunteer at the hospital for like 5 years, but I can't do body fluids. So this is really my way of kind of meeting people where they are and helping them. And it is what fuels me and just brings me like joy, not like a paycheck joy. I don't do this for a paycheck. I wish I didn't even have to take a paycheck. I love what I do that much, but I need the money if Denise is watching. So here's what we do. Like Madonna, some of you may need to recreate yourself. And we use that by identifying your natural strengths and talents using the Gallup strengths. And I incorporate that into your professional reputation. We can call it a brand if we want to, but really it's stirring in that information so that you have language that's authentic for you, that you're not just blowing smoke or, trying to, it's hard sometimes to say good things about yourself. And especially when maybe you could be experiencing a little imposter syndrome. So we help you by providing that language that you validate. We work with you with your resume. I do a resume workshop, and then I take your resume to the next level by massaging and tweaking your draft, provide to you hours and hours of interview help. We'll do an informal mock interview one-on-one before you go to your first interview. I do interview debriefs so that you can self-assess and readjust to make the necessary changes in the process. We do, as Dustin mentioned already, we have Heinrich come in to do the EQ session, which employers tell me, and that, we hire for EQ. That's what we're looking at, because we can't teach EQ. We need, we know that they have the aptitude. We can train them what they need to do, but if they don't have EQ, we can't help that. So that, and then LinkedIn. Kendra comes in and does that LinkedIn and workshop. Then I'll meet with you one-on-one and We'll go through your LinkedIn profile to make sure that you're positioned well. In a sweet world, we have employers just reach straight out to our students and snag them versus the work of applying. One gal recently got a job offer, and then they called her back and they go, oh, can we have you apply? Because she hadn't even applied for a position and had the offer in her hands. We'll bring in some employers so that they can validate and share about their hiring practices. Um, I'll stay with you after you've graduated, work with you one-on-one towards whatever barriers or challenges you may have in your job search process. And then we do group coaching where the students share with one another some of the technical questions and scenarios they're facing and are able then to navigate those and find the accountability that's so important to just keep you moving with your job search practices. And Katie, I know you'd mentioned something about like the relationships that Macs have. So it's not uncommon that employers email me and go, Ednad, hey, I need some candidates. I can tell you that there's an employer, I'm going to call it a mom and shop employer, that said in that in 2022, we're going to hire 40 developers. I have another employer who said to me, over the next 5 years, we're hiring 500 software developers. So the appetite's there. As these folks graduated in December, employers were like piranhas. I was a little bit nervous that there might be a delay in hiring, but people were gobbled up. And so it was, the appetite's there, and the students are poised and ready to land the job that they love.
And to support Annette with some of that, so our boot camp that graduated in last August, every one of those students has a job. The boot camp that graduated this past December, so a month ago almost, was it the 20th? Yeah, they graduated a month ago. 13 out of 17 are already hired. And I think that number may be different as of emails yesterday, where it seemed like a couple more people, got placed. Annette, talk a little bit about demo day, because we haven't really, when Greg mentioned the capstone, and I take part in demo day as well, from a marketing side, but I view demo day as a big part of their preparation for their interviews, having to rehearse their power message, having to rehearse in front of the camera, having to get ready to deliver that presentation. What changes do you see, Annette, from, I guess, the days before their graduation date and demo day, and after, once they've given that presentation and start going for jobs? How do you see a change in their preparation and their mentality?
What I see happen is because we rehearse for demo day, and of course, employers are attending virtually. They love that they can come at 2 o'clock and have a different meeting at 3 o'clock and not leave. It's the world's changed. But yeah, so because there's the speed interviewing and this that I coordinate based on just relationships that we've established. I think our students had 11 speed interviews with different employers at demo day. It's just people are comfortable. Yes, there's some anxiety around it, but we're so prepared for it. And then by the time we get through those speed interviews, everybody seems to just have a collective exhale, and they're like, okay, I can do this. And, it's not easy. I'm not making light of it, but if we can be prepared, I have the students, I tell them, let's kiss frogs as fast as we can to get to the prince, right? So if we've got to work through our nose to get to our yes, I want to do that as quickly as we can. So the more often people interview, the more comfortable they become. And oftentimes it's really about hiring the person. One employer told one of my guys recently, Dustin, it's your friend down in Kentucky. But he said to him, he said, when he sat down, he goes, take off your jacket. First of all, just take off your jacket. So he took off his jacket, and then your friend said to him, take off the tie, lose the tie. And then he goes, okay, can we just like talk? It's like, let's get rid of all this pretense. So, I want our grads to be so prepared that it just takes the stress off, because they're ready for those common interview questions. They're ready for off the wall stress-based questions, and they're just prepared, sometimes more prepared than the interviewer. Did I say that? I did. Yeah.
That's all. Yes, he's a great guy, and that is totally his style to loosen things up a little bit. Does anybody have any questions so far on what we've covered? Because we're going to start diving into a little bit about the process, the steps you need to take, creative financial solutions. So far with the technology, career training, schedules of the boot camp, does anyone have any questions? If you want to put them into the chat for everyone to see, you can go ahead and put them into the chat. Anything stand out to anybody?
Not so much a question, but I'm not sure if there are, any other individuals who are already sort of IT professionals, but my experience so far, working in IT, or at least the way that I have been, is there's kind of a purposeful sort of segregation of departments. So you'll have a lot of, sort of service related departments kind of kept away from, dev or UX developers, or things like that, UX designers. So, what I'm definitely interested in is, one, absolutely learning the full stack side of things. So, from the front to the back, really understanding what's going on. But what I would also be very interested in is learning a little bit more about what, kind of the day-to-day duties of someone working in each of these areas would be like, so that I can maybe work towards finding, my niche, so to speak.
Absolutely. And Rachel, one of the things that we do for that is we lean on our alumni network and our instructors. If you have any questions, whether it's during the boot camp, before the boot camp, if it's a part of your decision-making process, we'll connect you with any of our alumni that can speak directly to it. There could be an understanding that I have or Kevin has based on information that we have, but we're not sitting in those seats. That's one of the reasons why we have our alumni with us on these types of events, because I'm not a software developer. Now, my entire existence of what I do professionally is all based on my training. So I have a significant appreciation for training, because I would not be where I am without it. And the mentors that came along with it. And that's one of the reasons why I love Max. But Rachel, any questions you have about a specific area, we will absolutely reach out to our alumni for you and try to connect the two of you so that you can ask the great questions that you need to make sure you end up in the right place. Our instructors could coordinate that. Denise could coordinate that. But if you have any questions about specific areas, I'd start by putting you in direct contact with our instructor, like Greg, who has years of experience. Heinrich Stander, if you go through the boot camp, like I said, he led a group of 200 developers at Kroger. He's an excellent person to talk to with questions like that. But we can also connect you with one of our alumni. So hopefully that helps. Does that help, Rachel?
It does, absolutely.
Perfect. And Dan had asked what companies are hiring through the boot camp. So our hiring network is really a lot of the Inc. 1000 companies in Cincinnati and around our region. Right now, I can tell you what some of the more aggressive hiring partners are, and maybe Annette will have to help me, but I know TQL is one of them. Health Carousel is another one. Western and Southern has always been a great partner of ours. Great American Insurance is Cincinnati Financial is a great partner of ours. Really, if you look at any company with a large presence in Cincinnati, we likely have alumni there. Companies, though, and I think what Annette spoke to about a mom and pop shop looking to hire 40 developers, you never know where this need is going to come from. And we're going to see companies that were not as developer heavy before starting to look for talent. It is becoming a struggle, and I've been told a lot of the technology talent in our region is being stolen out to the West Coast, a lot of it. And so local companies are looking to boot camps to help fill some of that void, because a lot of people are getting tempted out to West Coast jobs. So specific companies, honestly, some people come into the boot camp and then they know what company they want to work for and they go right after them. And oftentimes they get it. Dylan Motley just did it with TQL. He first day of boot camp, I heard him, I want to go to TQL. He talked about it all throughout the boot camp. Where is he sitting at now? TQL. He knew where he wanted to go. Other people, you may be looking for a certain culture or environment or type of company. You pick it. And Annette's going to help you at least try and go get it. So hopefully some of our boot campers are going to find companies that maybe have never hired a max grad before because they didn't realize how realistic the opportunity is for the talent pool. And then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, they've hired 5 in the first 2 years. But we will use our alumni network any way we can in these hiring companies, and there's hundreds of max grads all over the place. And it's amazing how many times I've heard, oh yeah, so and so was a max grad and I ran into them when I was there for my interview, or Max connected me with this alumni at that company before I went for my interview to help me prep. And we'll do whatever we can to help you guys get there. Let me move us along a little bit just so that we get everything in, and hopefully I answered Dan's question, or we can touch back on that towards the end. So now let's figure out, okay, I like what I hear. Max sounds great. The technology sounds great. I'm very interested. Now what do I do? What is my next step? I want this IT career. I believe in the increased salary. It is like Greg said, the increase in salary for many students can cover the cost of the boot camp. I know one student specifically that saw up to a 53% increase. It's crazy numbers. So the best thing for us to do now is to help guide you through, to help get you into the process. And Kevin and I sit down with people every week and talk to them about where they are, what their goals are, and we need to get to know you. Kevin, what do you typically hear from people when they're considering attending the boot camp?
Really, Dustin, a lot of what you've been presenting on already in this meeting. We sit down, we have a discussion, a light, casual, friendly discussion about personal goals, about your career goals. We talk about, developing your passion, things like understanding how you're truly passionate about something that you may not know well. We navigate training for the love of technology versus training for a job. There's a big difference there. And, it's important for us to just lay it all out on the table and figure out what your needs are, where your background lies, what your career goals are. And let's line these up and let's help you find success. We talk about selecting the right boot camp. We have part-time option, we have a full-time maximum, we have the data analytics, we have the business analyst. Again, like you mentioned earlier, Dustin, we look at your lifestyle, learning style, strengths, goals, etc. when we're exploring the right boot camp. We want you to be successful, and that is the most important thing for us. And then last thing, we'll talk about financing. We'll talk about how our team will collectively put our heads together and navigate these options with you. Justin, we talk about a lot about mitigating barriers, what basically simplify what appears to be a complicated process. How many people that you've sat down with let financing stop them?
The number is dwindling. I'm not going to tell you that everybody has the perfect financial solution to be able to do this. That's just reality. But ever since we presented the part-time boot camp, and now with the Ohio tuition repayment program that I'll go into here in a moment, at the end of the day, though, Kevin, if somebody really wants to do this and they believe in the reality of the boot camp, when we talk about the numbers, when we talk about the salaries, they'll do everything they can to not let the finances be a barrier. I think a lot of times it really comes down to that, Kevin. I think a lot of them wonder, is coding or technology for me? Do I have the mind or the true interest for the work? That's one of the reasons we talked about the assessment, and it's required for admission. It can sound scary like a test, but Kevin, in your perspective, what is the assessment really about?
It's really about logic and reasoning. It's excuse me. It's designed to kind of replicate a similar thought process as that the coding problems. It's a gauge that measures basic capabilities of a software developer. It's really a way for the applicant with no prior IT experience or coding experience to know that they have the aptitude for this or not, along with the motivation and commitment that it takes. So Dustin, we touched on creative financing, but what does that really mean?
I think it means that Max on our side of things is always striving to develop the right financial solution partnerships in order to reduce these barriers for other people. As you can see, Ohio Means Jobs, the GI Bill, Apprenti is a partner. That's a different kind of program. That's a program where you actually have to sign up, and you have to be on a list, and be able to. It's a waiting list. You get paired with a company first. They handle the cost of your boot camp, but then they also control what you make in your first year or so. And I will tell you, it's a great program if you can't afford the boot camp at all in any way, but you may have to wait, and you have to wait to get paired with an employer. And then honestly, the income in the first couple of years, I think they cap it at like around $33,000, depending on the employer, but I know it's somewhere around there. It's not, you're not going to gain as much financially through that, but it is still a way to get through the program. And they are somebody that will pair with companies and end up putting 4 or 5 people in one of our boot camps. We'll get a phone call one day as Kevin's registering individuals, and they're like, yeah, we'll take 5 spots. Well, there goes 5 spots pretty quickly. And that's happened in the last 2 boot camps. So I don't say that to set any kind of urgency, because we have a limited number of seats, but at any time we could get either an entire company or someone like Apprenti just snagging 4, 5, 6, 7 seats that are available. We can fill a boot camp in a month, based on individuals and some of our corporate partners. But let me touch on, and I don't know how many are Ohio residents, because I want to talk to Linda, our alumni. So this is only for Ohio residents, so I won't spend a lot of time on this, but there is a special program currently available. And again, this is a part of the Creative Financial Solutions. A lot of work went into making this partnership happen, and it's a lot of work by Denise and our operations team, but you don't have to pay any tuition until you are getting paid. There's no credit check. It's something you sign up for. So let me tell you how it works. This is a hypothetical, so you guys can see the math. The bootcamp tuition is $15,500. You have a one-time 10% fee to use the program. So that would mean that's your $15,500 plus your 10% fee. The total you're going to owe for your bootcamp is $17,050. Let's say then you go through the boot camp, you graduate, you get hired. Your starting base salary, which is currently our average alumni entry salary, is $57,000. The program states if you make more than $50,000 in your role, you will pay 10% of your monthly income per month. So in this case, the $17,050 is the total. The salary is $57,000. It'll be $475 per month for 36 months. I will tell you, there are some formulas based on salary and the bootcamp total cost that we ran the numbers for that worked out to where somebody didn't even pay for the full amount for the bootcamp. It is possible. If you are making less than $50,000, you are only going to pay 8%. They put a cap on the months. You can only pay for so many months. If you've not fully paid through the boot camp and you've made all your payments for all of those months, you're not on the hook for any more money. It ends right there. There's about $1.2 million sitting in a fund specifically for this use. We have not received notification that once that fund is depleted, that it's going to come back. So one more example real quick. Bootcamp tuition is $15,500. Jennifer had $5,000 left in GI Bill funds. She was able to apply those funds to the $15,500, taking her bootcamp tuition down to $10,500. Add your 10% fee. So then Jennifer, out of college, was making $60,000 a year. So she's going to pay the 10% of her monthly base salary, $500 a month, but only for 23 months. You can apply personal financing however you would like to do it. You can combine other program funding to reduce what your monthly will be through this program. It's a great program. I mean, I've told two of my brother-in-laws about this, and one of them might be signing up. Like it's this whole mental shift of how they view the challenges for taking a boot camp. So now is definitely a time to strongly consider it. So really, at this point, choose your future, and we're going to help you get there. Is really where we stand. And I want to encourage you, if you are joining us today, you have something that the other people that registered and did not show up likely don't have, which is this momentum. You've taken a step, and all it takes is taking more steps, one at a time. This is momentum. You're doing this. Keep moving. Take the assessment. We have a mini practice assessment, but I just encourage you to keep going. Linda, you're up. I have run us close to time, but I want to be able to talk to you, and I want to see if any of our guests have any questions for you. So Linda is, and Linda, while we're talking, I'm going to go ahead and put up our upcoming bootcamp dates. That way people can make note of them. And Linda is a recent Max Bootcamp graduate. You graduated when?
August, the end of August.
You were yep, you guys were the August class, and all of your class has been hired. Congratulations. Yep. That's awesome. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where you're at currently, what your role is, and then maybe talk a little bit about that breakthrough that you mentioned earlier, because that sounds exciting.
Yeah, so I am a software and database developer at Morris Furniture Company. So they handle Morris and Ashley. It's a fairly small IT team, but I love it because I have my hands in the full stack. I get to work in the database, back-end code, front-end code. You didn't know this, Dustin, but we are actually starting to rewrite the entire site, the entire website, all the reports. So that's pretty exciting. My breakthrough today was about, we use PHP and Drupal here, so I don't know who knows about that, but I created a module to track some like damage stuff for merchandising. And it took maybe about a month to write. And then we had to do some revisions and testing. And then we realized we weren't pulling in the right data into our database. And I mean, it took a lot of teamwork to figure out who's doing what in the warehouse and who's moving this number here and what table's doing what. But we finally figured it out. and I got the code together, and the senior developer helped me with the testing, and we got all the right data coming into the database, and now the module is perfect. So it's exciting to have my first full project live and running.
That's awesome. And for just coming out of the boot camp in August, they have to be ecstatic, especially with a small team, to have additional capabilities. With all that work, maybe they'll be hiring more in the future and look for max grads. But talk to me a little bit about before the boot camp. What were you doing before the boot camp?
I was a produce manager with Kroger. I spent 18 years in retail. About 10 of those were as a manager. I had no IT experience. I'm just not that, I was never that person. What I found out is I'm not a hardware type person, but the software aspect is pretty awesome. And yeah, people started talking to me about it. I got interested. I talked to Kevin, and here I am. Oh, Greg too. Greg helped me a lot when I was signing up. So.
And what was your biggest fear before you started the boot camp? What was in those last days before the boot camp was going to start? What was on your mind?
That I was quitting my job of 18 years. I was living off of my savings. And what would happen if I didn't pick it up? What would happen if I couldn't get a job? It was terrifying. But I mean, talking to everybody at Max, I knew it was going to be okay, even though I was scared. And I jumped, and here I am.
And talk to me, because you guys had a special boot camp cohort. I will tell everyone here, they had to have more fun than I think many of the boot camps. I mean, it was just visibly laughter, loud, high energy. It was great. So tell us about that boot camp and what that was like for you with the people.
We were all different ages, very diverse backgrounds and interests, but we all got along really well. There were only 6 of us in our class, but it was like we became friends. We are all still in a Discord chat group right now. Like, we were just chatting this morning. We're making plans to meet up soon because we haven't seen each other in a while. But it was just fun. Like, it was like best friends and family. And I know it's not always gonna be like that with everybody, but you really have an opportunity to make a lot of great connections.
And how did they help you get through the boot camp?
Oh gosh, we were always supporting each other, bouncing ideas off of each other. Yes, you do a lot of work on your own, but you do some work together. I mean, whatever I'm struggling with, somebody could help me through. If somebody else was struggling, I could help them. A lot of moral support, especially through the hiring process. We were texting and calling each other regularly because we were panicking about something or trying to prepare for another something. And we would help each other with tech interview questions. Like, hey, this company asks this, make sure you know how to do it. But yeah, we were all just there for each other.
That's awesome. Does anybody have any questions for Linda? I mean, you've got somebody right here that's been through it, that is fresh in a new role within the last year. If there is one thing I hope that her commentary gets across to you is I feel like people have an outdated idea of technical training, and when they think of it, they still picture the ITT Tech commercials. And that you walk into a classroom, you sit down, you open a book, this person talks at you, you leave, and when it's all said and done and you're finished, you're kind of out there with whatever piece of paper you have on your own, and that's not what this is at all. And it doesn't feel that way. And I think a part of it is the Max team. It does feel like a family kind of atmosphere, a supportive atmosphere. And so I think it makes a big difference. And hopefully you guys get a sense of that, because I do. I think that old mental picture is still in people's heads. So what else? And we'll leave everybody with this. When you come back and talk to people about, or when you share with people the great things that have happened since the boot camp, and we talk to people about it being a life-changing decision, what have you enjoyed most that has been different from your opportunity and this change?
Well, we just went through a holiday season, so it was really different for me to, one, not work any of the holidays, I used to work 50 to 65 hours a week, constant stress. And yes, we have pressure. We need to meet deadlines here and we have to get the code right, but it's a way better work-life balance. And the team I work with, I work on site. The team I work with is really great. We can have fun also, but it's just nice to come to work, but it's not pure chaos all the time. It's been the best part.
We hear about projects that our students are working on, but when we have our social events and we talk to people, we hear about changes in their life as far as the financials and what it did for them. We don't hear a lot about the technical. It's, one of them that we had lunch with, he's like, I just paid off my car for the very first time ever. I don't have a car payment. Like that. I mean, that's just a powerful thing that you wouldn't really think of when you think about a boot camp, but these are the changes that we're seeing take place. I've run us 5 minutes past the hour. Let's see if we have any other questions. And Linda, thank you very much as always for joining us. We will enlist you to come and help us anytime. And we are very proud of all of your hard work. But Katie, Pavel, Rachel, Dan, Crystal, what kind of questions do you have? Now's a perfect time to ask. And we still have Annette and Kevin with us. So if anybody has any questions, I'll say go ahead and get those out now. We've got a quiet bunch today.
I am just personally kind of like soaking it all up. But I thought that you guys did a really good presentation about kind of hitting all of the marks. So I would love to connect with you, Linda, on LinkedIn.
Sure.
Maybe have like a separate conversation about your experience in the boot camp, like the day-to-day of the boot camp. But I thought this was super helpful. So I thank you so much for taking the time.
Well, and we hope that of course, it's going to be Max slanted because we love Max, but at the same time, when Kevin and I sit down with people, and it's so important that they understand how to choose the right boot camp. And this was really developed to help people understand how to make those choices. And we hope that you do your homework and compare us to the other opportunities. We really do. And that's why we've believed in this event. I think this is my 4th year doing this, running these info sessions, and hopefully you guys took something away from it that's gonna help you out. But listen, thank you everyone. Katie, Rachel, Crystal, Pavel, thank you, Annette, Kevin. I appreciate everyone's time today. What you got?
Real quick,
Yes.
if you guys, so Linda's cohort had phenomenal capstone project. It was Star Wars themed. I'm not sure if you guys have seen that. I may have sent it to some of you. But if you guys want to see that, reach out to me and let me know. I'll send it to you. It is awesome, but you'll get a really good look of what they built out in this program. So just let me know.
So email Kevin. Kevin, put your email in the chat real quick, just in case.
I think everybody has it. I've emailed everybody on this.
All right, good. But yeah, reach out to Kevin, get that YouTube link, check out the video. It's well done.
Let's
one
just
of my
say I'm Darth
favorites.
Vader.
All right, but I will
Cool.
tell you what, everybody, stay healthy, stay safe, have a great weekend. Thank you for joining us, and I hope to see you in class.
Thank
Thanks,
you so
everybody.
much.
Be well.